Hello, all of you bold, beautiful, brilliant, and highly evolved souls. I am Davina, and today's topic is chronic shame. Now, shame is a normal human emotion that everybody experiences, but if you've had narcissistic parents raise you, then you will most likely develop chronic or toxic shame, which means that we flash back to our childhood and we re-experience this sense of shame in our daily lives. And until we actually even become aware that it is a flashback, it is the basis of our identities. So we live our lives entirely believing that we are this worthless, separate person, and it guides everything we do. And it's the reason why many of us end up, in substance abuse, having other addictions, process addictions, shopping, gambling, internet, social media, sex, porn, overspending, overeating, undereating, eating disorders, all of these things we do because we feel this absolutely excruciating sense of I am not enough, maybe I don't even deserve to exist. Just a real sense of being a horrible, despicable person, maybe a sense of being unwanted, unlovable, a feeling of maybe feeling useless, just I don't, yeah, I'm feeling ashamed right now. And when I feel ashamed, it's also can be hard to like speak and function. So shame can have many kind of different little kind of subtle differences or faces that you might notice and start to get attuned to. Also, I was just reading today about how it feels in the body, because I thought, I know other feelings, but what is shame, and how do I know that I'm feeling ashamed? Because I sometimes do, but what is it about that? So it can be a feeling of like being in a fog. Like for me, I often feel like there's this veil, like I'm not quite here in this world. Like it feels like there's this, everything looks a little bit more dull than it does when I'm out of flashback. And what I also read was that the body actually like curls up as if as if you want to hide yourself, as if you want to disappear because you feel such an excruciating sense of worthlessness. And I was just reflecting on like, I often wake up like that, I'm eating my oatmeal and I've just naturally have this kind of like hunched over kind of position that I'm in the morning. So I'm probably waking up in a shame flashback every single day. It's probably rare that I don't. And I'm in one right now. It's, I know when I'm out of this flashback, my body feels more expansive. There's, like suddenly the world is like almost like opens up to 360 rather than this sort of very contracted, kind of, just a real foggy place. It does make just thinking clearly and functioning and doing your daily tasks difficult. And that's why it can feel so just agonizing, and it can make you want to isolate as well and not be around other people. You may not want to look people in the eye or speak on YouTube. um, but and shame, the other thing is it can often lead to other feelings. I know that is, you know, if I have a feeling, it can also immediately be topped by shame. So if I'm feeling tired, I can immediately feel shame about feeling tired. Or feeling sad, and then I'm feeling ashamed about feeling sad. Or it can be the opposite. You can feel ashamed, and then, a sense of fear I think shame and fear are so closely intertwined. And if you feel one, the other one is probably close by. Because when we feel ashamed, of course, we think that we're alone and that nobody wants to be with us. And we're so, I always like to use the word despicable, because that's kind of how I feel sometimes. Despicable or ugly. Ugly is another one. Feeling like you're ugly, or you don't want to, show your face somewhere, or maybe something about your body you don't like. All of these things. Anyway, yeah, like the fear can just, because we're afraid. If you can imagine when you were a small child, you feel like your parents are, shaming you in some way. And of course, immediately the next thought is going to be, well, what if they reject and abandon me? That's terrifying, to think that you might be completely alone in the world. And trying to fend for yourself as a child, that would not, somehow that would not be possible. And that's how we develop the false self, in an attempt to gain this acceptance and approval from our narcissistic parents, which never really comes. We never sense that we are being seen. We never get a sense that we're valued and appreciated. And that's because they're filled with shame up to their eyeballs. I often use that expression. I don't know why, but narcissists are filled with shame up to their eyebrows, maybe even eyebrows. And the only thing, if you're not aware of your shame, then you are likely going to, I just heard this expression today too, was a shame rage, because they can't process it on the inside and say, oh, I'm feeling ashamed right now. They put it out to you, to the child, externally, trying to get rid of it. I just wrote down a number of phrases that I've heard as a nanny, parents saying to their child. It's appalling, but here are some of them. What were you thinking? A 14-month-old, I think she tripped over something, and the parent said, what were you thinking? Like, what kind of remark is that? To tell a 14-month-old child, that's an overreaction, don't you think? Again, to a toddler who is, in emotional pain, and the parent is shaming her for being in emotional pain. You're being annoying. When the parent can't deal with the child's emotions, they say, you're the problem, you're being annoying. These are, horrible things that parents do unconsciously. You're a troublemaker. I've heard this in household after household. Child is crying, and they're saying, you're being a troublemaker for, or for doing nothing. You're such a goofball. A little bit more subtle. But again, the child is not trying to be funny. They're not trying to be goofy. They're just being themselves. Maybe they're doing something creative, or maybe they're trying something out with their voice, and the parent is subtly shaming them. And sometimes more directly, like, just, what's wrong with you? I heard a parent say that to their child. What's wrong with you? He was upset. He needed comforting. He needed his feelings validated and regulated. You're being unreasonable. Again, the parent is the one that's messed up or made a mistake, and instead of acknowledging their own mistake and their own shortcomings, they'll again project blame it on the child. So we get stuck with all this shame, all this blame, from our narcissistic parents. And so all of this, like the name calling, gaslighting, invalidation, blaming, and just really basically just cruel things that you would never say. They probably don't say this to their adult friends. Your adult friend is in distress and you say, what's wrong with you? Like, narcissistic parents have children not to nurture and guide and support them, but so they can have a built-in ego support, so that they can have that ego booster there available to them at all times, so that they can have power and domination over someone else. Yeah. What else was I gonna say about this? Yeah, and also it can also lead to the inner critic going off in the head. And that can sound like, I'm sure, many different things. I'm curious, like, please tell me what your experience is of shame or the inner critic. To me, often and I think it's definitely reducing now, but it used to be like, oh my God, everything I was doing was wrong. Like, I would be at work and doing the most smallest of things, like just cutting bread or something. That's not the way you do it. That's what I would hear. Why are you doing it that way? You should do it like this. Like every little thing, I was somehow doing it wrong. Or the other one that I often experience is just the classic kind of not enough. You're not fun enough. You're not being lively enough. You're being too serious. You're being too silly. It can be just like really almost like, yeah, to the point of just being, when I first realized this, it was like, wow, like I realized like this shame voice is just relentless. It can be absolutely relentless, just repeating all day long, all this stuff. You're a loser. You did it wrong. This morning I burnt the bottom of my teapot because I had turned off the wrong burner. And so that burner was left on, and the bottom of the teapot was all black and ruined. And suddenly just this overwhelming feeling of, and now I think I know that it was that the shame of like, I ruined the pot, like it was my fault. I did something horrible, ruining the teapot. So we can easily be also triggered into these feelings of shame by what other people maybe say or maybe do. It's important to also know what your triggers are. Yeah, so I hope that this has been helpful for you in some way, and really to understand that this is I believe, the core wound of humanity. Really is this kind of shame that just gets passed on generation after generation until people like us start to wake up and start to go, no, I'm going to heal this, and I'm to the best of my ability not going to pass this on and project it onto other people. So yeah, that's what I wanted to say today. And if you're feeling ashamed, as Pete Walker said, just remind yourself, I am feeling ashamed, but I am not a shameful person. Yeah. And I hope, I really wish you many, many blessings on this journey of healing and awakening, and discovering how worthy and wonderful and beautiful and lovable that we truly are. So thank you for watching. I am Davina at Boldness Blooming.